episode of Crypto in Africa podcast. This is the #1 talk show discussing all matters cryptocurrencies in Africa. This episode is brought to you courtesy of Crypto in Africa and Brazil Africa. It's proudly sponsored by sportsbet.io in conjunction with bitcasino.io, the #1 crypto betting platforms in Africa.
We are discussing Africa as 55 countries, and despite the efforts and campaigns of so many African firms that are campaigning for the adoption and legalization of cryptocurrency, only one country has adopted it. That is the Central African Republic. How is this affecting bodies like Crypto Savannah and the other African bodies that are campaigning for this? And what would you recommend?
Okay, so we need to understand, first of all, what adoption means. I will take the example, especially here in Uganda, about because of mobile money. So I'll come to that example shortly. So as we define adoption, there is usage, basically, the cryptocurrencies being used in Africa, and then cryptocurrencies being recognized by African governments. Then there's cryptocurrencies being regulated by governments. So there are those three stages. There is usage, how many people in Africa are using cryptocurrencies. Then there is recognition, how the government's recognizing this business, and then there is regulation. And so all those three are important when you talk about adoption. So number one, in terms of usage, Africa is the fastest growing crypto market in the world as we speak today. Their year-on-year growth of cryptocurrency usage in Africa is about 1,200%. At 1,200%, it is massive. We are talking about markets like Nigeria. Kenya is also a very big crypto market. Tanzania, Uganda, South Africa, Egypt. All these countries, cryptocurrencies are used in a big way. So when it comes to usage and demand for cryptocurrencies, it's very high in Africa. Secondly, when it comes to recognition, only Tunisia that I know of has banned cryptocurrencies. The rest allow cryptocurrencies to operate, even though they have restrictions on how those cryptocurrencies move. For example, there are restrictions on banks or financial institutions dealing with cryptocurrency businesses, but they are not banned. So cryptocurrencies are being used, even though they cannot work through banks. I think the same story is similar in Kenya, where banks do not necessarily deal directly with cryptocurrency businesses, but cryptocurrencies are still used in a decentralized way. So there is that recognition of the industry. And across the whole continent, only one country has banned it. The rest of the countries allow for operation, either by not legislating against it or just keeping quiet. You see, in the things of law, if the law does not expressly ban something, it allows its operation. So that's the status in terms of recognition. Then the third thing in terms of regulation, as you've said, very few countries in Africa have moved to regulate or to adopt cryptocurrencies as a means of exchange or as a currency, and that's Central African Republic. And many more countries are going to come along. It's just a matter of time. So that's the state. What does it do? What does it mean for businesses like ours? I mean, Crypto Savannah has been operating since 2016. And so, even long before there was any recognition. And so as long as they're cryptocurrencies, as long as they're moving, we are continuing to do business. We do actually engage with regulators to see that they are understanding the business and also understanding how the potential of its growth. So we are actively engaging with the regulators, giving them information and working very closely with them so that ultimately when that point comes for regulation, they are coming up with regulation while maintaining the customer protection, goal regulation has. So business as Crypto Savannah, we actually welcome regulation, but it's not something it's going to take time as more and more countries understand how to make use of cryptocurrencies and understand how their societies can benefit from them.
And since we're talking Crypto Savannah, since we've mentioned it, let me comment them on hosting the big conference in 2018.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, do we expect more of that, or is this something you guys are going to do? Or?
I mean, we don't know yet. The reason we did it in 2018 and 2019. Of course, 2020 had the pandemic, 2021 as well. 2022, we are still getting out of the pandemic, and the economies around the world are still trying to recover. And so, of course, we've had a lot of pressure because in the previous two conferences, we had very powerful partners, the government of Uganda and some other international organizations like the UN. So these partners would still want to work with us in subsequent conferences. So it's definitely in the plan as to when, and we cannot commit now, but it's definitely something.
That's great. That's great. And I think the next one we should have. I think we'll have someone there. We learn a thing or two. So the next question. It's understandable there are three types of wallets, that is hardware, software, and paper wallets, which have been further classified into two based on their work. There is cold and hot wallets. What technology is being implemented and would you suggest to be implemented to ensure the safety of these wallets from hackers? And which wallet would you best recommend?
Okay, so when it comes to wallets, I mean that space is quickly and dynamically changing. There, of course, like you mentioned, there are hot wallets, cold wallets, and they all have their benefits. One of the things that many people that don't understand is that the current banking system thrives on the fact that people don't trust themselves to take good care of their own money. So it's a human need, it's a human weakness. We acknowledge that we're not the best protectors of our value, so we give trusted people to keep their money safe for us. Otherwise, everyone will keep their money in their mattress or something. So the same thing is going to happen in crypto. Crypto started out where people could take full control of their crypto, and of course, early adopters, that's the funny thing, because that's the main thing they liked. And the current people who understand the full potential of crypto, you like something. However, the mass market and people in the grassroots use of the movement, so they warm wallets or soft wallets. For people who store a lot of crypto, put a lot of in here, so place that is easily stored. And so fly on a specialized device which can be put in a safe, just again to protect it. Software wallets, of course, are more susceptible to hacks and attacks. Paper wallets are as good as hardware wallets. You keep them safe, you put them in a safe somewhere, and your crypto is better protected. These are wallets that do not connect directly to the blockchain. They're just, you go online when you're transacting, then you go offline. Hot wallets are the ones that you say, for example, find on an exchange when you're transacting. So as this technology is improving, more and more security is largely a function of protecting the user. Blockchains are very highly secure in themselves, so hackers are not going to steal your money from the blockchain. They'll come and steal your money from the place that it is weakest, which is a security professional. The biggest means by which hacking happens is through what they call phishing, which is in layman's terms that into clicking things you're not supposed to click, then they take control of your device and everything stored on the device, including your cryptocurrencies, which are on your device. And so safety of your crypto starts with the person. It starts with a human being, understanding that you have to have two-factor authentication. You don't put your cryptos where they can easily be stolen, put them in a safe space. So it's actually education. That's how you protect your wallet from hackers. The second thing, don't just, because this is software, you need to Get wallets from trusted entities. Do some research about it. Don't just download any random wallet with backdoors that you don't know of that is stolen. So you stick to the majors, the big 5 or 6 types of wallets depending on the features. MetaMask is by far the most popular. There is Trust Wallet, there is blockchain.com, there is Ethereum. There are different wallets that you can find, but just do a quick Google research on
certain wallets and stuff. And so is the fear factor playing a role in the growth and development of cryptocurrency? Like, it's something I got from that conversation we just said. Like, are people not joining crypto because they are afraid? Is fear factor playing a role in?
So I was saying that fear of new things is inherently a human weakness. Humanity is afraid of things they don't understand. And so from the onset, people are definitely going to be reluctant on any new thing, especially something that affects their money. But over time, with more education and with more and more people getting into the space, what happens is that fear then goes. Mobile money started in the same way. M-Pesa, I'm sure, started the same way. I'm sure the first time M-Pesa came, people were skeptical. They could never think that money could move in like an SMS, and that you send money here and the person receives it. And I'm sure it was only a few people who are daring enough to try it out that would need it. But as more and more people used it, as more and more people got familiar with the platform, it is now almost a no-brainer. But we were not born there. We were not born where everyone understood it. It took a few people to be brave enough to try the new thing. Then those few people educated the rest. And as more and more people got on it, then more and more people gained confidence until it became mass market. So the same thing is happening in crypto. We are starting to see now many more people taking keen interest, because there are now hundreds of millions of people who are into crypto, and now it is soon going to come to that place where now people have sufficient comfort to invest in it. Of course, this is holding, not considering things like volatility, price, all that stuff. So crypto is, ultimately, crypto is a very new industry, very, very new. We are barely making 10 years old now. Yet you're comparing it to the banking system that has been in existence for hundreds of years. So there's still a lot of maturing that crypto will have to go through, but it is growing. What can be said, it's growing very fast.
Sure. That is noted. I think what people need to do is take that leap of faith, one step towards crypto, and they find out it's a very good thing, actually. So on the next question, there's the current price fall of cryptocurrencies, with the likes of Bitcoin going down by almost 20%, Ethereum going down by almost 20%, Litecoin went down by almost 50%. So what is happening? What is causing this? And will the prices keep going down? And how will this affect crypto growth in Africa in any way? I think it's a 4-way question.
Yeah. So yes, crypto is going down, and if you look at the graph, you see many people forget. They look at some of us who are in the industry are familiar with these trends. Every year there is a time in the year where crypto falls by 20%. There is a year where crypto fell by 70%, but still hit its all-time high in that very same year. So these are normal trends, and of course, people who are invested for short term are the people who are losing a lot of money. People who are invested for the long term just wait it out, because the price will continue going up. But I can't speak for all the cryptocurrencies. I just speak for the major ones: Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the likes. So these are normal trends. And actually, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it is the same trend even with the stock markets. The global economy is now feeling the pinch of inflation. The UK inflation is at 9%. US inflation is at 8%. And these are almost record high inflations. And so right now, it is the entire world's economic system that is feeling the pinch, not just crypto. Crypto ultimately is money. It is people's money. And if the inflation is very high, that means you need more money to do the same thing that you used to do. So whereas when inflation is high, normal behavior means you liquidate your investments so that you take care of your costs. So if the price of bread in Nairobi increases and you are holding Bitcoin for some time, for the long haul, when you can't afford bread anymore, the first thing you do is you sell your Bitcoin so that you can get money to buy your essentials. So this is what is happening world over. And this recent past weeks, we are seeing that it's peaking, because now that's when these very high inflation rates are hitting. Another thing to notice is that the inflation is hitting because of COVID. During COVID, there was very low economic activity, but a lot of money was pumped into the world economy. You remember the days where the US was pumping relief for people because they needed to buy food. So you have a lot of money that is not being backed by any economic activity. So ultimately, when now the world is starting to open up, the economies are starting to open up, we are seeing that now that money has to be accounted for in one way or another. We pumped billions into the economy with no activity, with no people. Its obvious result is inflation. And so that's another factor. Another factor that's also leading, you notice that these are general factors, they're not only specific to crypto. Another factor that's also leading to these crypto markets is that the fact that we have a war. There's a war going on in Europe. Russia there's a war between Russia and Ukraine. Now, that one, even if you look without crypto, that one is affecting food prices around the world. It's affecting trade around the world. It's affecting so many things. This is how interconnected the world is. And of course, crypto, because between Russia and Ukraine, those are the two largest crypto markets in Europe. And when they go to war, of course, the markets will feel it. Another factor is that China is still in lockdown. The most economically active parts of China are in lockdown, meaning that even the big, these effects have, systemic effects on the economy. So all these factors are all the same way they're affecting the world economy, they're also affecting the crypto economy. So I don't think it is just unique to crypto. People are very quick to point fingers, but ultimately the entire world is suffering right now. We have record high fuel prices, record high food prices. Inflation is also at record high. So ultimately, even the crypto markets are not immune to those basic economic forces. So people who had invested in crypto are pulling out their money because they need to survive. So that's why the markets are volatile. And so ultimately, even when it comes to things like will it continue going down? Maybe, as long as we have a war in Europe, as long as inflation remains high. In the short term, we might continue to see, rates, a bear market. However, crypto has something that traditional finance doesn't have. It stores value pretty well. And so when people start realizing, people start realizing that even with high prices, you can still pay for goods and services with crypto, we're going to see more, the people who are wise, the early adopters, are going to start offering or opting to pay for goods and services using crypto because of the decreasing value of their fiat currencies. And once we start seeing a lot of that, then crypto will be the first one to bounce back. Before the fiat cash bounces back, crypto will start bouncing back because of that feature, because it holds value pretty well because of its scarce supply. So my anticipation that ultimately, later on in the year, we'll start seeing a bull market coming back and it will have effect. Its effect in Africa, it will definitely affect its adoption. But what I'm seeing from the analysis is that even despite the low prices of crypto, adoption is still growing. How do I know? The number of wallet addresses that are generated on a daily basis is still increasing. So people are generating wallet addresses, so that means there's increasing demand for crypto, even though the prices are low. So yes, it will affect majority of the people who would have otherwise joined crypto when it was doing well. But then again, adoption is still going to happen either way, because there are many other benefits that crypto brings just than, holding value or being a speculative asset. There are certain other features that we'll start seeing come to play, like payments, borrowing and lending. With all this high inflation, the only way to deal with inflation is to increase interest rates. When you increase interest rates, then making borrowing hard. Yet businesses need to, remember they're just coming out of the pandemic. And so you'll find that now people will start looking towards borrowing crypto instead of fiat, where the interest rates are high, because interest rates are significantly lower when you're borrowing crypto. So some of those factors will keep the demand for crypto on the continent high and also increase further adoption.
That is good. I read somewhere that some stats saying that it will hit its highest price this year by August. So let's hope so. I have a question here which is interesting. I don't think you have it in the list, but I think you can tackle it. If you allow me, I'll ask it.
Yeah, sure.
According to CNBC Next Gen Investor Survey, the number of men who have ventured into cryptocurrency is twice that of women. Like the ratio, the percentage is 14% men, 7% women. Why this? Why do you think women are lagging behind when it comes to joining crypto?
I think I don't know why. It is going to be a speculative answer from my part. But I think it's also through the fact that maybe men are more risk takers than women. I don't know, but that's usually the trend. It's the same question as why are there more men in tech than women?
Yeah, exactly. It's something like that.
Yeah, it's something around those lines, because ultimately crypto, for at least the early adopters, is a heavily tech product. It's heavily tech until it becomes mainstream where it is used by everyone. So it follows the same trends as you see in tech. But at least us in Savannah are trying to change that story. We greatly incentivize women joining crypto. We invest our money into that so that we change those trends. That's the trend now, but we must do something about it and not leave anyone behind. So I don't know the reason why, but I know it's following the same tech trend. So it could be the same reasons that the tech industry has more men than women.
And I think that's the same reason why the top 5 richest people in the world are all men.
It could be. Because they need tech companies.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. So I think to the final question. So, what are your views? What do you see Africa in the next 5 to 10 years in terms of cryptocurrency adoption, regulation, and implementation?
So Africa is already leading in cryptocurrency adoption, and so that trend is going to continue. Why is it going to continue? Because cryptocurrency, first of all, replaces legacy financial infrastructure. So the regions in the world that stand to lose the most with the rise of cryptocurrency are the countries that have the most the very sound financial system. The West, Europe. These people who have very entrenched financial systems are the ones who stand the most to lose. So adoption is not as fast. In Africa, where we don't have so much legacy, or we are very quick to adjust to new financial areas, and we don't have that much to lose, our adoption is very fast. It's the same factors that drove the quick adoption of mobile money, with the likes of M-Pesa, MTN Mobile Money, Airtel, and the likes. It's the same factors that are, and right now that Africa leads the world when it comes to mobile money transactions and volumes. The same thing is going to happen for crypto. So for the adoption, yes, it's going to grow. When it comes to regulation, that one is a bit of a wild card. It depends on a number of things. However, I see a more positive stance, assuming that there are some regulators who recognize what had happened with mobile money and M-Pesa and have learned their lesson, because these technologies came and people they adopted it much faster than the regulation could adopt to it. We are seeing the same thing happening with crypto. So regulators eventually come around. And so I see the same thing. Regulators will definitely come around. So it looks positive. I'll, however, put a caveat in that, you see, we missed out on the internet boom as Africa, because we were there. I don't know what we were doing. But, and so right now, the richest companies in the world, the richest individuals in the world, are people who took advantage of that internet boom and the growth that it had in their countries. We are in a similar place right now with what we call Web3. And so Web3 is the third evolution of the internet, with like metaverse, cryptocurrencies, NFTs. So we are starting to see the boom of Web3. And so this is an opportunity for us as Africa to start building these platforms that can go global, so that we are not just consumers as we are currently on the internet. Just consume. Facebook is not ours. Twitter is not ours. TikTok is not ours. These are for other people who are built. We are just users. But we are seeing that with Web3, we have an opportunity to start creating, platforms that can scale the continent, which is the fastest growing continent in the world. In the next 50 years, 1 in every 4 people in the world will be African. Meaning that we have the market size, we have the opportunity to start creating these platforms for African youth, so that we don't get into the next, half century as just users. People just come to Africa because it's a big market, not because they're users. And so we're going to start seeing more and more startups, because now the capital is starting to become more evenly distributed. It is no longer concentrated to the Silicon Valleys, and a lot of capital coming to hubs like Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa. Uganda is starting to show up on the map. So all this innovation capital and funding is going to drive the development of African startups, African businesses, and then we start having big African businesses that leverage these technologies like crypto and blockchain. So that is also another trend that's going to happen, so that we start having creators on the continent, not just consumers, but also creators. So those are some of the things I look forward to. But it's a big if. If we are lazy, or if we are not as forward-thinking as we should be, people are going to come and innovate for us. People will come, bring their platforms here, and then we'll go back to that digital slavery of just being users. So there's a caveat there, but the opportunity is in our hands. It's up to us to take it.
Well, sure. And keeping that speculative nature of Africans in mind, a word to the African governments about making Bitcoin a legal tender?
I don't know whether they ever make. I don't think they make Bitcoin, because when they accept it as legal tender, you see, the thing about Bitcoin, what we need to understand about Bitcoin, anyone who declares Bitcoin as legal tender, it will then be in direct competition with your local currency, and it has far better features than your local currency. And so government will more or less relinquish control of their local currencies. So I don't know whether governments are that brave yet. They will definitely allow Bitcoin, right? They might look at it as a payment solution, as maybe as a security for investment, as a commodity. As a currency, I don't know. I don't know. It will take a very brave government, the likes of El Salvador.
El Salvador did it, yeah.
So and so far they seem to be growing well. But any word to the regulators, just be. You see, the thing about innovation, history has taught us that everyone who has resisted innovation has died, has relinquished themselves to oblivion. You and I, I'm sure, are old enough to remember that Nokia used to be the king of the hill in the mobile industry.
Yeah,
but
sure.
All of a sudden, they did not embrace the innovation of touch screens. They did not embrace the innovation of platforms, and they were relinquished. You can also remember Kodak. Kodak used to be the king of imaging.
Of cameras, yeah. The camera, Kodak camera, yeah.
They did not embrace innovation. And so now they are nowhere to be seen. Right now, there's a camera in everybody's phone. So regulators will need to recognize that innovation is no longer a nice to have. It is a necessity. Just like the human body's adaptation mechanism. Our economies, our technologies need, our country needs an adaptation mechanism for change. We cannot hold on to history and say this is how things have been done, this is how they have always been done, they should always remain like this. That's the fastest way to become irrelevant. And so for the innovators, now we are starting to see regulators having innovation spaces, regulators starting to embrace innovation spaces. That is a good trend, which I recommend across. Let innovators work with the regulators. Let them sit down in the same room. Let them experiment together. And then, because they have their value, regulators have their value. They protect the customer. The customer does not understand the product as well as the innovator. So they're working to protect. So they can still do that while working together with the innovators. So rather than sitting back in their AC offices and making rules, they can sit down in the trenches with these innovators, teach them what they need to put into their technology, work together, learn together, and that way we have more responsive regulations. And as a continent, we start becoming more forward-thinking rather than passive. And so, yeah, that would be my word for it.
Thank you. I hope some people somewhere will hear this and maybe put it into account, because I think cryptocurrencies are it's the code of the future. It's actually more valuable than gold right now. It's the future of money.
Yes.
Thanks a lot. Thank you a lot. Thanks a lot for taking your time to be with us on this talk. We appreciate your time. Thank you for the knowledge. We've learned a lot, and I hope more people will learn more from your views and your points.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.